Okay, we're back. So, part of this journey of music for me, as I'm going through cataloging my journey has been in my life, and we're still in the 90s here. Thrash metal. Now, I had a group of friends that were really into metal and loved Megadeth, loved Slayer, Pantera, that sort of stuff. That wasn't, yeah, I was exposed to it, but it never resonated with me. And then Testament comes along, and I'm like, oh, what is this? So we're getting into thrash metal now. And the album, The New Order, I think that was the first one I got of theirs, and still one of my favorites of theirs. I don't listen to everything that they've done. Again, I pick and choose. There are very few bands have been able to solidify themselves enough in my mind for me to dive into their complete catalog. But this album, at that time in my life, I was listening to it a lot, and it was pretty significant for me because it is one of those doorway albums and bands into a genre of metal that I wasn't born into. I wasn't really raised up in that area of music, but it did become part of my musical landscape. So I chose the song Disciples of the Watch. It's probably one of the more powerful songs on the album, and we're just going to kind of thrash out to it. Side note, Alex Skolnick, the guitar player, where is he? Rock player, one of the guitar players. You got Eric Peterson too. But Alex Skolnick wound up in Savatage, one of my absolute favorite bands of all time. After Chris Oliva was killed by a drunk driver, Savatage continued on, and the next album, Handful of Rain, Alex came in and he played guitar on that album. So there's Testament and Savatage were friends. They toured, that sort of thing. So there was a connection there, and that to me that's a special memory to know that he was able to go into that band and perform very well. Also, though I took exception to the fact that when he came in and he played Chris's parts, he changed them, the leads. He kept the main landmarks in the leads the same, but he changed it, his own interpretation. And I guess that's fine, but for me, a purist in that sense, I didn't want that to be touched. But he's a phenomenal guitarist, Alex Skolnick is. And so here we go, Disciples of the Watch. Eerie harmony. Here it comes. You ready? Chuck Billy with his vocals, just strong vocals. Wonderful, wonderful vocalist, Native American. That was kind of a new thing for me, though I didn't know about, Link Ray at the time, or I would later in the 90s. Bill Miller, phenomenal Native American musician that became a part of my musical landscape. I've featured him already under my Wisconsin musician playlist. You can check that out. I'll probably bring him back on this playlist just because there were a couple artists in the mid to late 90s that were definitely powerful on my musical landscape radar. However, now Testament for me is one of those bands where I don't always, the lyrics aren't what get me, because they do dance with some dark lyrics, subject matter, and it's not what goes in a man that defiles him, but what comes out. So I'm not really too concerned for my sake. Anyways, such a talented band. They should have been as highly accoladed as the Big Four, which Anthrax was the only one of the Big Four that I was all right. I mean, there was Injustice for All, and I really liked that album from Metallica. Black Album was all right too, but Injustice for All was for whatever reason, it was because it was this era, but it wasn't like the thing for me. So that's not going to make this album or this playlist. But Testament was one where I was like, yeah, I could do this. And this album, I don't know how many times I listened to this album, and it was just, the whole thrash thing was a new sound for me. We're on episode 18 now. If you go back to the first 17 episodes, you'll see why. It's like all of a sudden, boom, thrash metal shows up in my musical catalog from out of nowhere. And I'm just like, oh, my, this is so cool. And I've checked in on them over the years as well. Other albums, other songs. I really, really liked The Ritual, that album. But the mixing on it wasn't as good. Maybe there's a remastered version. I haven't checked, but I like that one. But from all of the Testament era, New Order was, the New Order was, probably the most listened to. That's it. They had to make the playlist because they were on the landscape for a while. Significant. That's all I have. God bless you guys. Seriously. Jesus loves you. I'll talk to you later.